Back at it again with my man Stuckey's hot 22-16-1. And we're coming down the home stretch. This is what Brian Kelly say. October is for pretenders. November is for contenders. You just push it back a month in the NFL. So it's December, big month coming up, starting Turkey Day. Once we get to this time of year, we start getting some of the Saturday games. You just gotta have your head on a swivel. You never know when these games are going to be. So we got 3 Thursday night games. We got a slate of Sunday games. We got Monday Night Football. We got a big Saturday. I mean, Ohio State, Michigan, I might have to ask you about. But you can find Stuckey, Action Network Podcast. You can find him on Big Bets on Campus as well. Go subscribe. Follow him on Twitter. He's always tweeting. This game, I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty excited. You know, I'd say for the last a long time, the Lions take a lot of shit, right? They just... This is their Super Bowl, the Turkey Day game. Are they that good? No, but they are an entertaining watch. They have some good young players. I don't know if Jameson Williams is actually going to play. I know he practiced a couple days ago. The Bills did not go back to Buffalo, right? They just stayed in Detroit.
No, they went back to Buffalo. They wanted to get their beds for a couple of nights. Yeah, it was tumultuous week. They a lot of the guys on the team basically sat from Wednesday to Saturday, didn't practice, were stuck in their house, and then flew to Detroit and then flew back so they could sleep in their beds, which I thought was odd. Why not just stay there?
I agree. I mean, this girl that I worked with at Fresno State is married to Ryan Wendell. He used to be an offensive lineman. He's the guy that next to Brian Daboll and now Ken Dorsey with the big beard. And they couldn't get their cars out. So on Instagram, she posted this picture. He was walking to work in the snow. That was the only way he could get on Saturday to the plane. And a lot of players, obviously, the Bills tweeted out. So they have had a fucked up time. Now, they took care of business Sunday, but you saw that speech, Dan Campbell. They're kind of feeling themselves right now. To me, this is I think this line, and I understand when the Bills are on, they could destroy the Lions, but that's a lot of points given how the Lions are playing. I'm going to hammer the Lions in this game.
Yeah, I think it's Lions or nothing here. I mean, the Bills historically, with Allen over the past couple of years, when they win by double digits. But that's not been the case of late because there's a couple things going on with the Bills right now. One, Allen definitely isn't fully healthy with his elbow. And what I think is happening, it's a pain management thing. I'm assuming he's getting a shot and maybe an hour before the game. And then, eventually it kicks in. But last week, which is why he's had some really slow starts since the injury. Last week, they didn't get a first down until midway through the second quarter. They couldn't do anything against a bad Browns defense, and then finally they kind of turned it on. So that could be huge, right? You basically have a quarter where your offense does nothing. So we'll see if he changes up the timing there. But more importantly, it's the defense. The Bills' defense right now is just banged up. I mean, I don't know when Trey White's coming back, but Edmonds has been hurt. Then they're missing a lot of their edge rushers. Russo is out. Epineza got hurt. And their entire secondary, right? I mean, you already lost Micah Hyde. Elam, your rookie corner, is out. So it's not the same defense that we knew early in the year where they were just getting a ton of pressure. So they had all kinds of edge guys. Now it's just who can you really count on besides Von Miller? Now you're going up against a really good offensive line. And then there's just holes on the back end. I mean, they made Zach Wilson look kind of competent in their game against the Jets, which is really hard to do. A couple weeks ago, Brissett threw for 300. I mean, the Browns had 400 yards last week. They just turned it over once. They didn't get a fourth down once. They kept trying to sneak it behind their backup center 2 plays in a row. So, yeah, this isn't the same Bills defense. And with the uncertainty around Allen's elbow, okay, does he take a hit too later in the game and then it starts to hurt again? Does he have another slow start? Yeah, I think it's Lions or nothing. The Lions offense has been very good all year when they've been healthy, right? When you have, I don't know if Swift's 100% healthy, but most importantly, St. Brown and that offensive line. So, yeah, I think that the Lions will be feisty here. And then when you're catching double digits in the NFL, there's always a chance for a backdoor, and the Lions are the kings
and
of that.
They can score points,
Yep. Yeah, especially against this D. It's just not the same pass rush, and they'll be fine, assuming they get fully healthy by the playoffs. You got to get Russo back, Epineza. You got to have all of your linebackers, and then Trey White and your corner. Like it's just a mash unit right now. So yeah, I think it's Lions or nothing.
And think how good Dan Campbell feels every time he checks the standings and sees the Rams, sinking like a rock. I mean, that's
Unbelievable.
that might be a top 5 pick. Okay, the Giants came back to earth. But sometimes when I look at these Thursday games, it's like, well, who was the traveling team? But they just played at home. The Cowboys, pretty long flight from Minnesota, right? I mean, that's not just a 45-minute flight. And I just saw on Twitter, McCarthy said they're dealing with guys are sick. So this is short week. They just beat the shit out of them, but it's Thanksgiving. Remember last year, pretty heavy favorites got beat by the Raiders, who were rich, and Bisaccia and a bunch of dudes in jail and guys injured. So you never know with these Cowboys. Now, that being said, obviously the Cowboys, if they both just play a B game, the Cowboys should win. But the line's pretty big for a team. Give the Giants some credit, obviously, this season. They keep games close. I guess I would go with the Giants. I don't have a great feel for this just because I don't totally trust the Cowboys in this spot.
Yeah, the problem here is, look, I mean, the Giants were, if you look at their defense right now, I mean, their defense hasn't been that good all year. It's, schematically, they've been able to cover up some things. But the scariest part to me is, I mean, look, the Lions kind of ripped them apart last week. The scarier aspect is 2 weeks ago, they gave up, I think, close to 400 yards to the Texans, who, I went 3-1 on the show last week. We should count that as 0-4 because I bet the Texans last week. They had 5 yards in the first half. But they averaged like 6.5 yards.
Can't win them all, bro. Can't win them all.
Yeah, 6.5 yards per play. Well, at least it was more yards than the Jets had in the second half. I think I saw the Jets average 2.4 inches per play in the second half. So, yeah, but the problem with the Giants now is your Adoree Jackson, who's been one of the best corners in the NFL, he's out a month. Their other starting corner on the outside, Fabian Morrow, he might not play. You're already missing Xavier McKinney, your safety, to a ATV
Cabo
accident.
Hand injury.
Yeah, and so you might be down to like Nick McLeod. You already lost Aaron Robinson, who was starting outside corner early in the year. Nick McLeod and like a rookie Cordell Flott on the outside. That's really scary. And then on the other side of the ball, it's like, okay, you're
no receivers.
Yeah, look, they're Wan'Dale Robinson and Shepard are on IR. They were counting on Richie James to play slot. He's hurt. Your center Feliciano got hurt on Sunday. Your right tackle Neal didn't play. He's questionable. His backup got hurt last week. The left guard they started last week, they benched. Bellinger, their tight end, I don't think is going to play. Like you're counting on Kenny Golladay and like Isaiah Hodgins this week. So you're just going to have to be a heavy dose of Saquon and Daniel Jones making plays with his legs. Jones has been great in the spot on the road. I think he's 10-0 against the spread as a dog of under 9 points on the road. But they are so beat up. But it's a lot of points in a divisional game. But I just can't back this team right now just because of all of the injuries. I have no idea who's going to play. And especially at cornerback, it's going to be really tough for the Giants.
I'm telling you, bro, Cowboys, Commanders, Eagles, Commanders, Vikings, Colts, Eagles. The G-Man, I have nothing. They could lose out, and I tip my hat to Brian Daboll, but losing out is on the table, right? When you factor in injuries, when you factor in just running out of gas, when you factor in all the one-score close games they've won. I mean, and now just their schedule. It's like the Commanders are dramatically better than them right now. Obviously, the Eagles are. I mean, the Colts, that game feels like a 13-10 final score, but that's, I mean, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be very tough.
Agreed.
And last but not least, I mean, this game is actually pretty big. New England, it's weird. Like, are they good? They're good because I trust Bill Belichick. Defense is going to be solid. They're going to stay in games. But their offense, I mean, it's like I'm not a Mac Jones guy. I think it's going to be very difficult to win 10 games when you just struggle to score points. Now, I understand the Jets' defense is good, but that game was in New England. It's like it's one thing to road game, struggling to score at home. You can't score points. Mac Jones just has not played well this year. Now, Minnesota, you just get it's one of the biggest ass kickings of the year. Might be just from the eye test, the biggest ass kicking I've seen this year. Maybe that or the Chiefs against the Niners. Short week. It's at home. You would think the place would be going berserk. But Cousins prime time, everyone watching against the hoodie. This game feels like it's probably going to be closer than it should.
Yeah, I like if you're into teasers, I like teasing the Patriots up anytime you can tease a dog from 2.5 to up. But going against everything you said, Cousins in prime time, the Patriots offensive struggles. I actually bet the over 42 in this game, which I know scoring is down everywhere. I just think that's too low for a game that's going to be indoors. And I think, look, the Vikings defense has holes all over. The Cowboys showed that last week. They've played a pretty easy schedule. Anyone with a pulse has gotten to 24, 27 that was starting their quarterback all year on this Vikings defense, which I think the Patriots will have success running it. And I think their offense will look a little better this week. And the Patriots defense, it's always going to be well-schooled. But here, you have a short week here, and they're very young. So they've had some performances that leave you scratching your head. I think there's going to be some like that this year. But I think this is the top of the market on the Patriots defense. I mean, go back about a month ago when they gave up 33 to the Bears at home. But since then, their last 4 wins have all come against backup quarterbacks. The last 3 weeks, they've played Zach Wilson, Sam Ehlinger, and Zach Wilson. So, obviously, their defense has been extremely dominant. It's a good defense, but it really helps to play those quarterbacks. They've also benefited from some weather conditions, wind, playing outdoors. This is a defense that, if you remember, they gave up 37 to the Ravens. They gave up 27 to the Packers. They gave up 33 to the Bears. So yeah, I just think this is too low based on what we've seen from the Patriots defense lately. And then what I think that the Patriots offense will, have a pulse here against the Vikings defense that I just don't think is very good.